Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Just Some Bodhi's Opinion. My name is Bodhi, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 changes in the books that we saw in the TV series. And I know that there's been a lot of commentary, a lot of thoughts about this, but these are my top 5 changes that I really liked coming into the series. My intention is that this would be a series of videos where I talk about the changes that I loved, I didn't like, and hated. But right now, I'm just gonna talk about the changes I loved. The Wheel of Time is a really long book series, and of course, there would be things that would have to be changed so that we could get a proper adaptation of this massive series. Now, there's a lot of debate about the changes or the differences. And one takeaway that I would say is that even before the show happened, drop one opinion for the Wheel of Time and you would have countless counter opinions on it. You would have differences on thoughts about Cadsuane, Egwene, Nynaeve. Like there are so many different ways to think about it. There are so many views on the different plot lines within the books. Just looking at the discourse on the Eye of the World book, there were a lot of people who loved certain pieces. There are a lot of people who loved other pieces. I, for one, had super loved the whole journey of Matt and Rand going through all the way to Camelin. I know that some people found that super boring, but again, to each their own. So in my native language, I would say, walang basagan ng trip, which roughly translates to something like, don't rain on my parade. I'll put the proper translation here. Anyway, so let's get right into the top 5 changes. There won't be much spoilers here besides the Eye of the World, and we'll be talking about all episodes. So I'm gonna have 5 of my top changes. We're gonna start with the bottom of the list and then going all the way till the top of the list. So number 5, the aging up of our Emmonsfield 5. Now, a lot of things have been said about the aging up of the characters, but it is definitely one of the things that I really liked as a change from the books. If we really think about it, the only people who were aged up actually was Egwene. Because in the books, Egwene was, 16? And the aging up of everyone just gave a lot more gravitas and deeper connection to the two rivers. Because in the book, they basically started as, wide-eyed country folk, and for the 3 boys, like bumbling idiots most of the time. And then we had Egwene, who was just like tagging along and not even believing in Rand in the first place. So I really like that they aged up the relationship between Egwene and Rand. In the book, it was very perfunctory. It was very like, oh, everyone thinks that we're supposed to be together, so we are. It was so awkward. So I like that there are stakes in that, that I'm rooting for them. It will be even more heartbreaking once, the dragon thing starts happening and Egwene starts on her Aes Sedai path. So I really liked it. And then no spoilers, but in one of the later books in the series where Rand and Egwene have a confrontation, I feel like it would have had more impact if they had that relationship that we're seeing in the show right now. So it's something that I'm really excited to see pan out. So while editing, I realized that I missed out one of my favorite changes for the Emmonsfield 5, which is actually Matt. The character of Matt is such a big improvement versus book Matt, especially for book 1, because where book 1 Matt was like a trickster who was irresponsible, in his place we have show Matt, who is a caring, responsible brother for his 2 younger sisters. And then we've got him like struggling with his deadbeat dad and drunk mom, trying to be, the breadwinner of the family. He's also the guy who's anchoring the friendship of the 3 boys. Like, he's the one who calms Rand down when Rand's doing his bitch fits. And he was the one who comforted Baron when Perrin was spiraling into depression in Shadar Logoth. And so I'll put this in my classification of the aging up of the Emansfield 5, but most especially the improvement of the Matt character. And I am going to super miss Barney Harris. My top change number 4. One of the things I really liked visually for the TV show was the Aes Sedai costumes. Now in the books, while the Aes Sedai would like have colors relating to their ajas, it wasn't that, blatant. Usually it's with the shawls or stoles or whatever. But in the show, all the Aes Sedai get these gorgeous outfits of their colors. But it's not like a uniform. It was a visual cue to people that, oh, these are the red ladies. These are the green ladies. That's the battle aja. And then, oh, the blues. Like, I really felt it. And because when you're reading the book, it's easy to imagine the ajas because the description would be like Serene, a white aja, or Pevara, a red aja. Like, in the book, because the description was right there beside it, you would imagine the color, even if they're not probably wearing that color. So I really liked it. And of course, the costumes themselves were just plain gorgeous. I can just keep looking at the Hall of the Tower scene again and again. And it's just beautiful. So it's one of the changes that I really liked in the books. I have no idea what some people say where they're like, oh, it looks so fake, it looks so clean. Yes, they're Aes Sedai. They're super, super gorgeously graceful and they're in their tower. Of course, it's gonna look clean. My top change number 3 is Dana and the Darkfriend philosophy. One of the things that I really liked in the show was how Dana was like the most fully fleshed Darkfriend I've ever met, ever. Like, in the book, you don't get a fully fleshed normal Darkfriend. Actually, you can even say that most of the Forsaken aren't really fully fleshed in their dark friendry, except for Ishamael. But that monologue of Dana about breaking the wheel, of ending suffering, it was just so Ishamael. Like, it gave such nuance to dark friends and why they're supporting the dark one. They just want to end suffering, y'all. They just want to break the wheel. And isn't that a good thing? But yeah, so it's one of the things that I really liked. And we were able to get it like early on. I think it was episode 4. So we get a lot of depth from the non-monstery dark friends. And I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that nuance from the dark friends. My top change number 2 is the Aes Sedai camp and the Raging Sun moment. So there's been lots of conversation about episode 4, where it is something that is not present in the books but felt very much part of the books. And I loved that change. I loved bringing in the Aes Sedai early on. I loved seeing the camp, the world building of the warders. I loved seeing some faint Aja politics already, where we get throwaway lines like, blues are spies, or the greens are the battle Aja, or the reds are there to police the one power. Like, so many things that I felt very Great Huntish, so book 2-ish. And of course, the ending of episode 4, which was Nynaeve's Raging Sun moment. I liked how Marine had that small foreshadowing with Logain saying, whatever power that you have, it's a pinprick to the Raging Sun that the real dragon would have. And I really loved it. I loved the healing bomb. I loved every moment of that, and I loved that change from the books. And my number 1 change versus the books was the Lore of Reincarnation. Because in the Wheel of Time books, I don't recall having much conversation really about reincarnation, except whenever it's a hero of the horn, or like whenever someone's talking about the Dragon Reborn specifically, but they never really talk about it. Meanwhile, in the show, they keep beating us with it, and beating us in a nice way, because I love the speech of Tam to Rand during Beltane in episode 1.
No matter what happens, what pain we face, With heartbreak, the wheel keeps turning.
Because they have this wonderful conversation about souls and coming back, and why we don't have memories of our past lives, or why do we have to come back. So it was really beautiful. I loved how they changed Beltane to become part of that mythos of reincarnation and bringing the loved ones' souls back. And then, of course, in episode 4, we have that beautiful conversation between Ila and Perrin, where Ila talks about how her daughter died, and the reason why she's going through the way of the leaf was that one day when her daughter's soul is spun out again, she is able to create a better world for that, for her daughter. And that was just a beautiful piece of world building there. And we keep seeing bits and pieces of that lore of reincarnation again and again. Like, there was a throwaway line of Rand telling Loyal, oh, Egwene used to think that she was Jane Farstrider reborn. Like, there were all of these small things. And so when we cut to the dragon in episode 8, 3,000 years ago, you get that real sense of, okay, this guy's soul is back, and it's Rand. And I really liked how they were able to flesh that out. And this is my top change from the books to the show. It is something that I love the most because it is world building, and it makes the Wheel of Time even more unique. Like, it explains why it's called the Wheel of Time. Because the book series, and I love the book series, but it's called the Wheel of Time even if we're just talking about one age in the Wheel of the end of one age in the Wheel of Time. Like, you don't really get that sense of like the Wheel of Time. Meanwhile, in the show, they talk about, you know, reincarnation, coming back, and all of these themes. And I felt like they brought that to the fore even better than the books, or at least condensed that part of the book so that you could really feel it. And so that's why that's my favorite change versus the books. So there, those were my top 5 changes from the book series to the TV show. I love the aging up of our Emond's Field 5. I loved the Aes Sedai change, the Aes Sedai costumes. I loved Dana and the Darkfriend philosophy. I want to see more of that. One favorite, as usual, is the Aes Sedai camp and that raging sun moment. That was beautiful. And finally, the lore of the reincarnation. I love that this world feels fully fleshed, especially in the lore direction. So those were my top 5 changes. There are changes that I was not as into, and I'll get into that in my next video. But for now, those are my top 5 changes. Let me know what you thought about my favorite changes. What were your favorite changes? What did I miss? Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you were offended by my thoughts of my top 5 changes and you think there shouldn't be any changes whatsoever, comment as well. Let's have a conversation. And just remember, it's just somebody's opinion.
Somebody's opinion.